Shall we start?
We are.
Okay, good stuff. How's it going, everybody? Are you well?
Yeah.
Good stuff. My name is Tracy Campbell and I'm a consultant with the Pampered Chef, and I'd like to start by saying a massive thank you to Sharon for inviting me in this evening to chat to you all a little bit about what it is we do. Sharon, are you excited about this evening?
Massively.
Sharon, was it difficult to organise this evening?
Not at all, you were a great help.
Oh, well, thanks very much. It's always nice to hear that. It's a good way to start the evening. And it's a lovely way for you all to get together, isn't it? At least you can hear what you're saying here as opposed to the pub, which is always a good thing. Okie doke, so can I ask who's been to a Pampered Chef show before? Can I ask who's never been to a Pampered Chef show before? And can I ask who's never heard of Pampered Chef before? Gillian, really? There's always somebody at every single show who's never heard of Pampered Chef, and I don't know why I'm amazed, because every single show I've ever done, there's always been somebody who's never heard of Pampered Chef, and it just goes to show, ladies, that there's loads of room for growth. We need more consultants, but I'm going to talk to you all a little bit more about that in a few minutes' time. So, as I said, my name is Tracy Campbell, and 2 years ago I knew I needed some part-time income. I needed a part-time job, but I wanted something that was fun. I wanted something that was flexible because I've got 3 young children, and I wanted something that was going to pay me a decent hourly rate. And I thought, your head's in the clouds, young lady, because you're never going to find anything like that at all. And here I am. And guess what? I no longer work full-time. This is now my full-time job, so I'm a stay-at-home mammy with a fantastic social life and a really good monthly pay to boot. So if anybody is maybe thinking about some extra money for Christmas or anything, I'm just going to actually ask you to have a look back here, and we can talk a wee bit more about that later on. So, the ladies who've been to Pampered Chef shows before, have any of you hosted before? Yeah, and Audrey, you said you've hosted before. What did you get for hosting a show?
Stone beer, bamboo stuff.
Good stuff. How long ago was it since you hosted?
3 years.
Come up here to me for a second. When you host a show in September, I would be giving you this to say thank you. This is our newest piece of stoneware. Ladies, I cannot wait to tell you all about that. Okay? I would also be giving you this in its sauté form. I'm afraid my husband used the sauté one to cook his omelette tonight, so I'm afraid I've got this one with me, but you're getting that in its sauté form. You'd also be getting our pairing knife. Okay, now they're your guest specials to say thank you for hosting the show, but we're not going to stop there, because on average my hosts get about 4,500 points for hosting a show. So what do my guests spend on that? Well, they usually get themselves a hand here, which is this one here. And they usually get heavy now. They usually get a chopper as well. Every home should have one of these. The amount of arguments this has saved in my house. There we go. And they usually get one of those as well. And they get half price items. Well, what do they get with their half price items? They get okay, I won't ask. And they also get one of our stir-fry skillets as well. Now that is usually what my hosts will get for hosting a show, and that costs them, I think, somewhere in the region of about £80. So ladies, if you see lots and lots you want tonight, don't buy it all, host a show, or even better, join me and get paid for getting it all as well. Okie doke, thanks very much, Audrey. You can sit down there now for a while if you like. Hang on to that little bundle and have a think about how much you like all that in your life. So we're going to, I don't have my apron because I can't get to the apron well.
Do you feel naked?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So this evening, again, I'd just like to say thank you, Sharon. Sharon has been an absolute joy of a host to work with. And as I say, hopefully you've not found it too onerous. And it's lovely to see you all here this evening, and I hope now we're going to have a good out chat. So tonight we're going to make savoury biscuits. I usually do an interactive show, and I'm not going to ask everybody to come up, but I'll say don't get too comfortable in your seats, because I'm not here to cook your tea for you. You're going to be cooking it yourselves. And everybody has a good laugh and a good kick like that, but you can rest easy. I'll just go on with it for now. So what I've brought this evening is, because I do most of my shows at night time, are things that I cannot live without in my kitchen, because they make things easier. Who here loves to eat? Excellent, we're all on the same page. Who here loves to cook? There's not as many hands that went up that time. Can I ask why it is you don't love to cook? What is it that puts you off?
Time.
Time, okay. So what do you end up eating?
Quick food.
Quick food. Do you make it now, or is it prepped food?
Totally named pizza food.
Okay, what I'll say is that you quite often meet a lot of people at shows who say that they buy ready meals, or they'll go to the takeaway. Oh, I forgot to mention the guest specials. I'll talk about that in a second. What you'll find is that they're very high in processed foods, they're very high in sauce, and they're really, really expensive. With our tools and with our equipment, they're designed to get you in and out of the kitchen that little bit faster, alright, and just let you get on with your life. Okay, so I've got my chopping board here. Now, Pampered Chef aren't only very good to their hosts, they're also very, very good to their guests. And every £45 £10 you spend during the month of August, you're going to get yourself a free gift. So these are leak-proof containers. Does anybody have these? Who loves them? I absolutely love these. The amount of shows I go to, and I do Yorkshire puddings at every show I do, and I've spilled batter all over the back of my car. It's never an attractive thing. You can put it in here and you can just pour it. So if you're bringing soup for your lunch or anything, that's not going to leak all over. But do you like Lane? You're doing a lot of nothing there. So you have to have that as your free £45 gift, okay? And then we've also got this little pairing knife. Who's into the vegetable origami? No, me neither. I don't have time for that. But that's really good for getting a nice little peel off your potatoes, so, and that's where all the vitamins are. So yeah, you're doing a lot of nodding at that there, Christian, so I'll give that one to you. That's your free £45 gift. And I left my actual tongs at a host's house last week, so these are just pretendly tongs, but these are great for reaching into the saucepan or reaching into the frying pan and flipping things over. You're not getting too close, you can keep yourself at arm's length. So Becky, they could be your free £45 gift. So this evening we are making, I've never done this at a show, so no laughing, I've only ever done this at home. Okay, we're going to make our cheese savoury biscuits here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grate some Parmesan cheese. And we're going to use our fine microplane grater. Who has this? Oh, lots of you, excellent. What's your favourite thing about it, Vicky?
It makes cheese go further.
It does, doesn't it? I'm consistently on a diet for one shape. I'm actually doing a sponsored weight loss at the moment, so that's recently why I'm on a diet, but I do love cheese. And I don't think that life should be without cheese, to be honest. But this takes the smallest little bit and it makes, and my daughter calls this snow cheese. I think your children call it snow cheese as well, Sharon, don't they? So it's a lovely wee thing. Now, these flat foamed for easy storage. They go into a 45-degree angle like this for when you're on the countertop, and this is when I get to feel dead Italian. And I stick that bit on there, and I sing a little song while I'm grating my Parmesan cheese over my dinner. Am I the only one who does that? Yes. I love that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to grate our Parmesan here, and I'm going to show you how there is so little waste, and there is absolutely no chance at all of taking your fingernails off, because fingernails are never a good addition to any meal. I don't care what you taste. So I used to eat my fingernails when I was a child. But even I would kind of be a little bit reluctant to eat them as part of my food, especially when you're serving it up to other people. I never think it's a good thing for them to mind. So we're just going to grate that down like that. Now to see the way that that just makes very, very short work of that. See those bits that are left at the end? There's no calories in them, so you can eat them to your heart's content. And then we're going to pop that bit in there as well, and that is our Parmesan cheese. Now, it's a very specific order that this has to go into. The Parmesan has to go in first, and then the flour, and then the egg, and then the water. So will you keep me right in that, because I won't forget it. Okay, anybody can do, I think that's a bit of cheddar actually. Anybody can do this job, as you can see, you don't have to be professional at all. Now, this is our manual food processor. Who has this? Oh, that was a big hand up there, Vicky. How much do you love your, or Elaine, I beg your pardon.
I love it.
Tell us why you love it.
I make so many things in it. I love it, and I use it for loads of things. I've given up chopping onions, vegetables.
It all just goes in
it all
here.
goes in there.
And it is super. I have to say, who has a Kenwood at home?
Who does it
A Kenwood, a food processor. Rachel, how often do you use your Kenwood? Never. I never. Mine lives out in the shed actually. Yeah. I go out once a year to take it in to make the Christmas cake. However, this is in use every single day. Now I'm going to be honest with you, when this came out first, I have to say I didn't love it. I wasn't overly convinced. This gets used at least twice a day in our house. Okay, the kids can have their smoothies in the morning before they go out to school. They're getting their fruit and veg and they don't even realise it. You can do pastry in here. You can do stuffing in here. I'm going to do biscuits in here. Vicky, or Elaine, sorry,
salad dressing, even I make my dressing and that. If I want, like everything, I put my garlic, all my big chunky things in, and just whiz it till it's smooth.
Yeah, until it's got this consistency. You've actually got a lot of control over this. You can get exactly the consistency that you need in here. What we're going to do is we're going to put 2/3 of the cheese in here, and then we're going to put some flour in, which is in our smaller leak-proof container. Okay, that's going in there as well. La, 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 la. Try not to get it in the holy bit. Term, the holy bit. Now listen ladies, I have been referred to in the past as Mrs. Brown on speed. If for any reason you can't understand please ask me to slow down. I'm very nervous, it's very warm in here. So do ask me to slow down. An egg yolk. This is my favourite dish. Does everybody love doing this? The kids love this, except you usually get the whole egg in there. Ooh, all over the tablecloth. Right, there goes the egg white in there. You can make your meringues with that later on. Don't waste anything. Or if you ever have a recipe that calls for egg whites, but you don't have a use for the yolk, do you know how easy it is to make your own mayonnaise? Yeah, if anybody wants a recipe for homemade mayonnaise, please tell me, because it is the easiest. Oh, the butter. It is the easiest thing in the whole world. Now,
Made in a manual food processor.
Made in the manual food processor. Yeah, just add a couple of thingies at a time. Is that what you use yours for, Sharon?
I use that. To be honest, I'm like you. The manual food processor I use for hummus, salsa, guacamole, smoothies, making breadcrumbs,
It really
pate. I love smoked mackerel pate.
Do you know
Making
that?
that.
Come into shows because I always learn something.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yes,
I love that.
It's fantastic.
Fruit puree.
Fruit puree.
Yeah, uh-huh. Blitzing things for babies and people with no
Yeah,
teeth.
It is absolutely super for that. Now that's our butter gone in as well. Thankfully, ladies, we're not actually going to be eating this batch. I did make some earlier. I did a blue peach on it, okay? Because it's looking a bit like a dance there. But this is a brilliant recipe for a show. Now, we're going to get that up here. Squishes around like that. I always refer to this as the big brother of the food chopper. Who has the food chopper? Okay, there's a lot of hands going up there. Who loves their food chopper? What do you use your food chopper for, ladies?
Nuts.
Carrots.
Nuts.
Oh, nuts. Who's nuts? Sorry.
Well,
Okay, so it's brilliant for chopping nuts. It's absolutely super. What else do we use them for?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay, so you've been doing a lot of baking here,
Yes.
I'm gathering. Okay, excellent. What else are we using our food chopper?
Onions.
Onions. Who likes chopping onions? Let's be honest. Who's never in the
Oh, yeah, because someone did.
But do you know what I use it for? Cheap anger management. Battle that away and Bob's your uncle. Okay, so we're going to put that over there. That is actually our batter there. Now this is a very, very quick recipe altogether. And I'm going to cook that on stone. Now I have to tell you ladies, Pampered Chef really impressed me with stoneware. The first time I ever went to a Pampered Chef show, I had never heard of them. And I was convinced I wasn't going to buy anything. Because myself and my husband, we both really cook. We used to argue about who got to cook the tea in the evening. We don't do that anymore. Because usually I'm out having fun and he gets to cook for the children. But it's one of the things that really, really impressed me. I wasn't going to buy anything. I ended up coming away with 3 free gifts at that first show that I went to. I absolutely love this stuff. Okay, this is our rectangle baker and it is my absolute favourite piece of stoneware. Who here has one of these? Oh, fantastic. How much do you love it?
Yeah.
Has it changed the way that you cook?
Yep.
I'm going to ask you all what you do in it in a few minutes, but there are a couple of technicalities I want to get past with you to begin with, and then we'll move on to the fun that you can have with it. Do you know the way when you go to an Italian restaurant and you get your pizza and it's perfectly evenly cooked the whole way through and you don't break your teeth on the outer and the inner is not all soggy? There's a reason for that. It's called thermodynamic cooking. Did you know that? And basically what that means is the stone, well they use a brick-lined oven, but a brick-lined oven for your own home is really rather expensive, and for a fraction of the cost you can get it with stone, okay? What happens when you put your cold stone into the oven with the food on, it absorbs the outer air moisture from your food, and the thermodynamics come in is when it creates little pockets of moisture, okay, and that creates a steam in your oven, and that gets reabsorbed by the food, and that creates an outer crust or an outer shell that keeps all the moisture and the succulence and the tenderness in your food. So you do get completely different results when you cook with stoneware to what you do when you cook with other products. So what do we use it for? Well, who's who? There's a lot of nodding going on. I've lost track. Paula, you said you love your rectangle baker. What do you use yours for?
Loads of stuff. Lasagnas, chicken, jerk chicken.
I think I'll need that recipe. Thank you very much. So yeah, cool. Anything else?
Baking, all kinds of stuff.
It's brilliant for baking. Who watches British Bake Off every week? Yeah, with a passion. It gives you really, really good results for your baking. Okay, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I'm going to take you through a kind of a week with my stoneware, and we'll see where it can fit into your lives. For the people who haven't been convinced yet, honestly, this will make a difference. Okay. So we'll start with the Sunday morning. Sunday morning in our house is always a bit nuts because we go to church, and when you're taking 3 children under the age of 8 to church, you really need to go some to make sure that they're going to sit quiet for the hour. So we take them to the park and we run the legs off them for a couple of hours usually, and we get home and then we'll do a big brunch just before we go out. So it's great because we're getting dressed and getting tidied. So turn on the oven to 180 and then I pop in a punnet of sausages and I stick those into the oven for about 12 minutes, take it out, and then add in whatever else you're having at this point, be it bacon, mushrooms, tatty scones, black pudding, tomatoes, no beans, because that's just wrong to have with your breakfast. That's something I've never managed to get at all. Don't put your beans in at this point. Then that goes back into the oven for another 13 to 14 minutes. Now the beauty of this is you are not trying to juggle grill pans, you're not trying to juggle frying pans, everything's been done. You can go and get yourself changed, you can get yourself ready to get out of that door, and it's absolutely, and it really does make things an awful lot less stressful. Okay? Then after another 12 to 30 minutes, take it out and crack in your eggs. Okay, and you can then pop it back into the oven for another 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how you like your eggs done, and then take it out. Now, another brilliant thing about this is it's going to keep your food warm for up to 45 minutes after it comes out of the oven, so you're not hopping up and down the whole time trying to get things. You can sit down and enjoy your breakfast as well. And I'm just going to show you, we were only cooking for 3 this morning. Usually it's a lot fuller than that, but that's our breakfast just there, okay? And you've only got 1 dish to clean up, and cleaning your stoneware is the easiest thing in the whole world. And remind me to tell you about that when we've finished.
My
Okay.
husband will tell you that.
Sorry?
My husband will tell you that.
That's the way I like to hear it, Christian. It's such a well-trained, good
I like
stuff.
the idea of doing a visual for that, Rose.
Yeah, it really, really does help. There's a couple of nice, I actually have some more photos that I need to update this with, but it does help people to kind of see it, see how it works. Okay, so then we're on to lunch. Has anybody ever tried baked potatoes on their stone?
Oh yes, best.
Sharon, would you like
They
to tell
are
everybody?
the best. I use my medium bar pan for that one, but easily you could use the rectangular baker as well.
Rectangle stone,
Do
actually,
you?
yeah.
Man, I just roll them off. But yeah, they get the, again, fantastic, lovely, crispy skin and just light and fluffy potatoes in the middle.
Absolutely.
Best roast potatoes you'll make.
You can hear the crunch from the skin from about 50 paces. They are absolutely amazing. See if you put a dollop of butter in there and some cheese and some beans. I would allow beans in this occasion. They are absolutely fab. Do you not like beans at all?
I don't like beans at all. They taste rotten.
Do you know, there's certain
Baked
beans.
beans.
No, cannellini beans. Though.
Oh, cannellini beans,
Yeah.
just baked beans I don't like.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So that's very much, but you can also do toasted sandwiches on your stoneware, you can do paninis, you get really, really good paninis on your stoneware as well. Just be aware though that it does take 10 minutes for your stone to heat up, but then you can be doing other things during lunchtime as well while you're waiting for it, and it's a fuss-free way of doing your and as well as that, you don't have to clean hobs, you don't have to clean down sandwich makers, everything's there for you. So that's your lunch. Now, where this comes into its own is its tea. Okay, so tea time in our house can be a bit manic because you get home from school at 3 o'clock, you get your homework, and then it's usually out to an activity or I'm going out to work at some discussion, which is great because I'm very nice to do it all and I get to go, la see you later. Usually I've fed the kids full of chocolate at this stage. Take it all down. Try it, it's tremendous fun. They really appreciate what you do at home when you do that. Okay, so just this is chuck and bun cooking. Okay, who likes to eat well during the week? Yeah, and who really just doesn't have the time to eat well, to stand and saute this and reduce that, and this is where this really is going to come into its own. This and the deep cover baker, but I've got a whole section on that in a couple of minutes' time. Chuck everything in here. If you're having mince and potatoes, chuck in your mince, chuck in your onions, chuck in your veg, chuck in your broth, chuck in your potatoes, and chuck it in the oven. Don't brown anything off, just chuck the whole thing in. Who said they love lasagna? Yeah. Okay, I make my own sauces for lasagna. I'm going to show you a picture of that in a minute. But again, you don't need to brown your mince, you don't need to do anything, just layer it all up and chuck it in the oven. And that allows you to get on with the homework or whatever it is, or sit down and have a cup of coffee for 40 minutes if that's what you choose to do. You know, it really, really frees up your time. I do make my own sauce. Twice a week I go to Tesco. At about 8 o'clock at night when you get your organic veg for 6p. I recommend that to everybody, they're really, really good. And I've chucked them into my rectangle baker with a good splash of balsamic vinegar and put that into the oven on a slow roast for about 120 for 2 hours. Really all the natural sugars. Blitz that up with a couple of tins of tomatoes and you've got a base for your spaghetti bolognese, for your stews, for your soups. So you're saving money and you know what you're eating. And I think that that's really, really important as well. As well as that, it's a great way of sneaking veg into fussy eaters, and I am referring to my husband when I talk about that. Okay, so it's a really, really good way of making sure that your family have a healthy diet. So then on a Sunday, who likes a Sunday roast? Yeah, do we all love a good Sunday dinner? Okay. So who's got time to put hours in again? You want to be off and enjoying yourself on your Sunday, and this is where these items again come into their own. This has just been in use in my kitchen every day for the last few weeks. I'll talk about that in a minute. Put your joint meat in, stick it into the oven. 40 minutes from the end, take it out and put in your vegetables and your parboiled potatoes and chuck it back into the oven. Okay, and that's your dinner done. Then, thank you very much. Then what you can do is take your meat out and allow it to rest. Put your veg and your potatoes somewhere to keep them warm. Good glug of wine, it's red wine in our house, but it can be white wine if you so choose, and a tablespoon of flour. Chuck it back into the oven, take it out, whisk it up, and your gravy is done as well. You have done your whole dinner, apart from your Yorkshires, in one dish. Okay, so again, you've only got one dish to clean up, and it's cutting down the fat, and it allows you to get on with other things. Who likes Yorkshire puddings? Yeah. Who makes their own Yorkshire puddings? Who buys Auntie Bessie's Yorkshire puddings? Oh, thank heavens. I usually have to egg somebody around to show at this point. Yorkshire puddings are the easiest things in the world to make. It's a cup of flour, a cup of eggs, a cup of milk. And then when you buy the Auntie Bessie's ones, do you ever rub your fingers together after you take them out of the pack and you get that lovely slick of oil? You do not need to use oil at all with our Yorkshire puddings. And this is our muffin pan here. You can use it for other things, but other than Yorkshires. Okay, but this is a picture of my Yorkies, just there. They're lovely. And they're great as well when you fill them with cream and you pour melted chocolate over the top. Okay, but this is the muffin pan is super for all sorts. These are, as I say, these are the things I couldn't live without in my kitchen. You can put muffins in them. You can also do potato dauphinoise in here. Who likes potato dauphinoise? Yeah, that's really, really good for doing those. You can do roast spuds in it. Dough balls. Who likes dough balls? It's the only time I ever use grease on my tin. Okay, just a pan. Just grease each well, very, very well with butter. Squish with our garlic, put some garlic in there, and then get your dough balls. You can buy packets of dough ball mix out of Morrison's, I think, for 20 pence or something. And make the dough balls and stick it into the oven. And when you take them out, the butter will run down your chin, and it is absolutely divine. Okay, I said I'd be using this one every single day for the last week. Now, my son has just started primary school. My baby's gone to school, and I've been walking up to get him during the day and then working out at lunchtime. So what I'll do before I go out, chop up some chorizo, chop up a tin of, in my food chopper, chop up a tin of garden bean salad, I think that's the word for it, chuck it in, a couple of tins of tomato, an onion, stick it into the oven at 150, 160 and come back an hour later and soup is ready for lunch. Okay, your soup is actually there. Again, you've not had to watch it on the hook, it's very, very simple. You can make jam in here. Casseroles. Who likes pulled pork? This makes the best pulled pork. That's why I thought I wasn't going to get this today because my in-laws are down, but I'd asked them to make something else instead. And roast chicken. Who likes rotisserie chicken? Okay. What we do with this, and it's the recipe that you get with this, is you actually make a bed of garlic on the bottom of it, cut a lemon in half and put it inside your chicken and stick it in there. Put the lid on and whack it into the oven until 40 minutes from the end. Then take it out. At that point I turn this upside down and I put my veg for roasting in there, again with a splash of balsamic, and put it back into the oven. Now, after 40 minutes, and that allows the skin to crisp up, because let's face it, it is the best part of the chicken, isn't it? Okay, so when you go to take your chicken out, the legs and the wings will fall off of that because they are so succulent. And because the garlic has kept all its moisture, you can then mash that into the drippings that come off the bird. You see that line that goes along the bottom of my DCB? That's the depth of drippings that you get. Again with the wine, again with the flour, whisk it all up, and the gravy is to die for. And see, if you have that with haggis the next day, it is absolutely divine. Have I made you all hungry?
When's lunch?
It is absolutely phenomenal. And do you know what's brilliant about this? I'm running out of time. It makes you an awful lot more adventurous as a cook. So, I would recommend that everybody, depending on your size of family, everybody has at least one piece of stoneware in your kitchen. When you decide how much you love it, then you've got two choices. You can either host a show to get more, or you can join us and you can get the lot for free. Pamela Chef are brilliant for sending you stuff for free, and I'm also very good for incentivising my team as well, as I know a lot of the directors are. So what are we doing now? So, cleaning it. I did say I'd talk about that a little bit. Cleaning it is a doddle. You get a brown nylon square with every piece of stoneware that you buy. You can't buy extra ones if you're like me and you lose everything. Scrape everything off into the bin or the dog's dish, whichever's handiest. Hot running water, as hot as you can stand. Dry it with a towel and Bob's your uncle. It won't retain any moisture. You can do fish in stone. I cannot describe it. It is the only way that I can actually cook fish properly, where it retains its form and it keeps that lovely firm texture that fish is supposed to have. Then do an apple crumble in it 40 minutes later. You'd never know that there's fish in it at all. I love my stone, can you tell? I very rarely cook on the hob anymore, but I do a stir fry, and I'll talk to you about my stir fry skillet if I still have time. So what we're going to do now is we are going to form these biscuits like this on my rectangle stone. Now, who bakes? Who bakes some bread? You know that faff that you're supposed to do with bread, that you're supposed to put a thing or a bowl of iced water in the bottom to create a steam in your oven? You don't need to do that with your stone. You're cooking out your steps the whole time. It makes it an awful lot easier. So while I'm shaping, now I'm going to show you very quickly how to shape these, and then I'm going to open the floor up to you guys, because I've been doing all the talking to you now, and I'm getting a bit fed up with the sound of my own voice. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Squish this in here, like that, and then plop it into the leftover parmesan. Give it a good roll around. Then stick it onto your stone and squash it down the back of that like that. And you do that until all the batter is done. Okay. But now what I'd like to do is open up. You've all heard me talking about the business opportunity a little bit. I'd like to find out, have you got any questions about the business? Now don't be polite and don't think that there's anything that you can't ask me, because there is. I'm Irish and I don't take offence easily. So please do ask away. Who's going to get them? Everybody who does ask me a question, you'll get a ticket into a raffle for a season's best, which has this recipe in it. So if you'd like to get the ball rolling for me. Jane,
How much do you earn?
How much do I earn? Okay, well my show, the national show average is 300, however in Scotland it is higher. You start from your very, very first show on 20% commission. So if you were to get a £300 show, that would be £60 for an evening. Okay, you're giving up rubbish TV for one evening per week and you're getting yourself £60 towards it. But we can work on your show average. What we try and do with your launch show, I'll come along and help you with that, is we try and earn you back the cost of your kit from your very, very first launch show. Thank you, Laura. So here's a tip for you. That's a lovely question.
How many shows do you have to do?
It's entirely up to you. We have incentives, which you're more than welcome to work towards. Okay, but what we don't have any targets, so it's really up to you. In order to stay active, the minimum you need to do is one show every second month. But of course, the incentives are fantastic, and most people do decide that they'd like to work towards them. Thank you, Jane. I can just tell you've got one for me there, Becky. It's okay, ask me anything. About
How do you
business.
fit around your family?
Sorry?
How do you fit around your family?
Oh, do you know, that's actually the joy of this. I get to choose the nights that I want to work. Monday nights in our house, there's no chance I can work on a Monday night because we've got brownies, we've got cubs, and we've got swimming lessons. Okay, so I decided that the best nights for me to work are Tuesday and Friday, so they're the nights that I book shows in for. If you decide Wednesday night's best for you, Saturday night, well, personally I think Saturday night's a family night, but if you actually can't, if you just want to be anywhere but your home on a Saturday night, that's the night that you book shows in. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. Thank you, Becky. Does anybody have any other questions?
It almost sounds too good to be true.
Do you know, I thought that as well, Sharon. I really did. I was sitting where you were this time, 2 years ago, and thinking, oh, there's got to be a catch here. I'm 2.5 years actually now with the business at this point, and I'm still looking for that catch. It does sound too good to be true. Absolutely. But it's not, I promise you. Thank you. Has anybody got any other questions?
Do you have to be able to cook?
No, absolutely not. I enjoy cooking, but I'm not a slave to it. Our recipes that we get you to give you, actually to be honest, my first 50 shows, people were getting a choice of a Mexican chicken wing or a chicken curry, and that's all. They could have a vegetarian option, but if they wanted to know the recipe, they had to go to another consultant. So we just set it down step by step for you, so it's absolutely fine. I'm practicing at home. I remember before I did my first show, I lined up the kids' toys, and they were my very first audience.
I did that too, yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely not. Cooking is. And if it goes wrong, we just have a laugh about it. The amount of times I've forgotten, I remember one memorable night I was doing a chicken curry at a show and I forgot to put the curry paste in. So, and we had a good laugh about it and nobody went off, and I still got 3 bookings from the show, so it's absolutely fine.
Do the bookings ever dry up?
I would be, sometimes you won't get a booking at every single show that you do, but usually what happens is you will make up for it at another show that you do. So some shows you might get no bookings at all, and the next show you do you might get 4 bookings. And your upline is always there to support you every single step of the way. Say if you take on the business and you want to do 2 shows per month, and that's fine, and then you decide you love it, and you actually really do want to get out and work an evening, speak to your upline and they'll tell you how to grow your diary. The support is absolutely second to none. I have never ever met support like it in anything I've done. And I've done a lot of different jobs, but this is the first time I've ever felt so supported. And guess what? This is my business as well. Thank you, Sharon. 10 minutes, okay. Right, they're lovely. And then they go into the oven for 18 minutes, all right? So I was going to do a topping to go with that, and I was going to tell you all about the steel bowls, but what I'll do is I'll actually just go, because these are fantastic. Who has these? Guys, and bring them to your shows, because you will get so many bookings off the back of these. What I usually say about them is they give my kitchen a touch of class. They look good in any kitchen. They're absolutely beautiful. You can have them all stacked up like this in a corner, or you can lay them out side by side like that and give yourself extra shelves as well. But guess what? You can actually cook with them as well. Okay, they're made of stainless steel. I always pretend I'm a master chef when I use these. Does anybody else do that? Okay, these they're completely airtight when you put the lid on them. You need to shape that in there, and you're properly airtight, and it reshapes itself every time you put it in. You've got your measurements on the inside, and you've got a lovely non-skitter top bottom on it, so that you can use your blender and that kind of thing. You've got your nice deep holes. Now they are an investment piece, okay, but what I can do is I can practically guarantee you're going to get those half price when I knock on your door to do your show. And every kitchen really needs a little touch of class, okay. And we kind of say something. Oh, I never did the knife, but I can give you my knife presentation at another time. So what I'm going to do now is my show close, okay. Now, did you all enjoy yourselves?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I always like to hear that. That's a bit of a phew moment when people say yes. What I'm going to do now, ladies, is I'm just going to walk you through the catalogue. Okay? And this is our current really gorgeous catalogue, and we've got lots and lots of new products in there for the ladies who've been before, and for the ladies who your first time here, you're going to want everything in here. So you and I need to speak about having a show at checkout. Okay? There are 3 types of ladies who come to cookery shows. There are the ladies who like to make money, the ladies who like to save money, and the ladies who like to spend money. For the ladies who like to make money, I'm going to direct you to the last few pages here in the book. Here is your Super Starter Kit, and here's your mini kit. Kristen, you're a bit of a Pampered Chef junkie. This would be the one for you, because you don't really need to supplement too much in your kit. But I'm going to talk about the Super Starter Kit here this evening, because this is the one that absolutely changed my life. 2.5 years ago, I went along to my first Pampered Chef show, and I was a childminder. And my children at the time were 2, 4 and 6. And I had 12 children in my care from 6 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. And I was sitting that night thinking, I don't think I want to go outside the door. And my husband, now I'll be honest with you, the lady who you see before you tonight is completely different to the lady I was 2.5 years ago. And my husband was getting worried because I didn't want to go to Tesco in case I met somebody who I knew. When I went to do the school run, I stood at the car and the kids were coming by me, so I could avoid everybody. Childminding suited me to a T. And I wasn't going to go to this Pampered Chef's party, and my husband said, out you go, go on, I'm fed up with looking at your face tripping out you, out you go. So out I went, and I got really excited. Now, as I said, I knew I needed we were broke, I needed some extra income. Okay, childminding was a very lovely job, but it didn't pay very well, and it certainly was a thankless task. You never got thanked for anything we did, like a lot of you said here this afternoon. So I got quite excited. I felt something growing inside of me the more I was watching Jill doing her presentation. So much so that I went home and I woke my husband up at 2 o'clock the next morning and told him I was going to try Pampered Chef. I would recommend that nobody here does that this evening. Okay? It's a great idea, but wait until tomorrow morning to share your excitement. My husband's response was, you'll do your 6 shows and your bookings will dry out. And I thought, well, that's fair enough. At least I've still got some brilliant kit, and hopefully I'll have made back the cost of my investment. And then he said to me, how's your confidence going to stand up? And I said, I actually don't know until I try. And later on that afternoon, he came back to me and he said to me, I think this is going to be really good for you. So I thought, well, that's all the blessing that I need. So I went out and I sourced my 6 shows, and I did my first show. Now, I have to say, my first show was nothing as polished as what you saw there. I cried when I did my introduction. I had post-it notes stuck to everything. I had labels stuck to everything. I forgot everybody's name. These were all my friends. So, you know, I was a bag of absolute nerves. But I got through it. And you know, I couldn't sleep that night, I was so excited. And I woke up the next morning, and for the first time in years, I put on makeup going out to school, and I dressed myself with care. It had already, at that point, started giving me a new sense of pride in myself. Okay? So, I had only ever intended on getting my muffin pan, because you get that baby free when you do 8 shows, just have you know, okay? And that's all. I was going to walk away from it at that point. But I actually discovered a part of myself that I had forgotten existed, and I thought, I really like this. So instead of doing 1 show per week, I suddenly found myself doing 2 shows per week. Now, my childminding business was still going at the time, okay? And I'll have to be honest with you here, we were time-starved. This was even before I took on Pampered Chef and broke. Conversation between myself and my husband used to exist of, have you done this? No. Have you done that? No. Why not? And that's really all we were doing. We were not talking to each other. Weekends were spent trying to catch up with school, with housework. Our kids were completely neglected. I can say that now because they're not anymore. But my daughter was 6 when I started Pampered Chef, and she didn't know how to ride a bike. And that is something I'm so ashamed of to this day. I really am, but we just didn't have the time to spend on our kids. With Pampered Chef income, things were becoming better financially, and that was taking a great deal of strain off. So our relationships were kind of building, and it was lovely. But being childminding full-time and doing Pampered Chef was starting to take its toll. And I said to my husband one morning, I think I'm going to have to give up Pampered Chef. He then said a sentence I'd never heard him say in our 15-year relationship. He said, I want to take you out to dinner tonight. And we went to dinner, and he said, I've been thinking about what you said. He said, I'd like you to give up childminding instead. And I said, well, I can't do that. I said, I have a commitment to my family. And he said, I think you'll find you can. He said, go home and look at your books. At this point, my Pampered Chef business was subsidising my childminding business. This was coming up to Christmas. So at this point, I thought long and hard about it, and I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a try. What have I got to lose? So I gave my notice to all my parents, and I told them that at Easter I was going to be closing my childminding business in favour of Pampered Chef, and they all booked shows to help me get going, which was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It really felt like everything was going right about this. And people are excited when they see you doing something that makes you happy. Okay, so that's my story with Pampered Chef. Now, some of you are sitting down there thinking, oh, but I could never do that. Okay. We're owned by a man called Warren Buffett, who runs up Berkshire Hathaway, which is one of the biggest companies in the world. We're up there we're in portfolios with companies like Pepsi-Cola, Heinz Baked Beans. These are big companies. And do you know what he has to say about Pampered Chef? He says, I love these Pampered Chef ladies. While we're all sitting in our 9-to-5 cubicles of misery, they are chopping their way to fame and fortune, and they're having fun while they're doing it. And there has never been a truer word said. I am having the time of my life. I keep waiting for somebody to pinch me and tell me it's all just been some lovely dream. But this is my life now, okay? And it can be yours as well. You're all sitting down there, and we've all got loved ones in our lives. If somebody came home to you and said, say your children, for example, and said, I want to try dancing, or I want to try basketball, would you say to them, don't bother because you won't be any good at it?
No.
No, you wouldn't. But as adults, as grown-ups, we do this to ourselves the whole time. We never give ourselves a chance to try anything new. Why on earth wouldn't you want to? What have you got to lose? You're going to have a fantastic kit. You're going to have a pocket full of change. As I said, we aim to get you the coaster kit back from your very first show. We support you all the way. I won't leave. It was my choice to do my first show because I didn't want anybody watching me and seeing how bad I was going to be at it. But if you want, I will come and do your first show with you, and we will ensure that we get your business off to the very, very strongest start. I can never thank my director, Jill, enough for asking me, would I like to join the Pampered Chef? I'm extending this opportunity to every single one of you this evening. Have a think about it. If you can think of a reason that it wouldn't work for you, meet me for a coffee. If you're really good, I'll buy you a piece of cake. All right? All you're doing is finding out a little bit more information at that point. You're not signing up to anything, but I'll be able to answer all of your questions. Okay? The ladies who like to save money, I'm going to direct you to these pages in here. Now, we did the pile-up with Audrey. Audrey, have you had to think about how much you love all that stuff?
Oh, yes.
Are we going to be booking you in for a September date?
Definitely.
Excellent, that's what I like to hear. Now, on top of that, Sharon's going to get a 10% discount at the show that you book and all the shows that all you other ladies book, so you can really save yourself a whole bundle of money by booking a show. There's an example there of what you can get with a £400 show. The average for this area is a lot higher. We'll work together to make sure we can get you as much as possible, okay? And then for the ladies who like to spend money, every page in the catalogue in between is for you. I have it all. Pampered Chef is so generous to their consultants, okay? Now, in here is your order form. Please can you make sure you give me all your details up here, your name, your address and your telephone number. I can't process your order unless I have all of that. If you want any of the recipes I spoke about tonight, or if you want to send me pictures, I love when people send me pictures of what they've done in the kitchen. Give me your email address as well, and I'll pop you onto my newsletter. Okay, every item in the catalogue has got a 4-digit reference number, and that goes in there, and every item has got a guarantee. This top copy is your guarantee and your receipt, so make sure you keep a hold of that, and all my contact details are there. What it is, because I want to make sure I get your item absolutely right, how many you want, and I hate to say it, ladies, there's only 11 weeks to Christmas. Okay, there's not.
17.
So, you know, think about buying your Christmas presents now, the price and how much it is. I'll take payment tonight by cash and by card. We take Visa card and Mass. I love anybody who pays me with card because it saves me a trip to the bank. And there's some questions here. I'd really like you to take the time to fill these in, and they're not hard questions. How interested are you in the business opportunity? About what we spoke about, and you know, try it. What have you got to lose? How interested are you in hosting a show? and getting all the benefits that we spoke about with Audrey and that Sharon, I hope your wish list has come along nicely at this point. Or booking a fundraiser. Now, I've spoken about Help with Cancer, but we fundraise for everything. I do it for toddler groups, I've done it for a dog's home, that was great fun. You can do them for all sorts of things, okay? There was some, yes, if you don't fill all these questions in, I will send you back to your seat until you do, okay? So I look forward to seeing all these questions ticked or crossed. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Oh, I popped a flyer in here as well, reminding you of your £45 gift. Make sure that you fill that in as well. And I hope you've enjoyed yourself every bit as much as I have. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend time in your company. And I look forward, the recipe's going into the oven now. It'll take about 20 minutes. That'll give me enough time to tidy up, and then shop will be open in 20 minutes' time for about 20 minutes, and I'll be out of your way thereafter. How does that sound for a plan?
Excellent.
Thank you very much, ladies, for your time and attention.